Good morning, Buffalo, and welcome to Western New York at Work with Dale Martin and Chris Stoddard, thriving in Western New York with an emphasis on manufacturing. And today's guest is Dottie Gallagher, the president and CEO of the Buffalo Niagara Partnership. Good morning, Buffalo, and welcome to Western New York at Work with Dale Martin and Chris Stoddard. Today is our monthly manufacturing show where we are thriving in Western New York with an emphasis on manufacturing. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Dale. How are you?
I'm doing well. And yourself?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well.
I tell you, Chris, each time I see you look a little bit more stylish.
It's my wife.
Okay, blaming on the wife. Okay.
Yeah, they'll give her full credit. Yes.
Okay, but without further ado, we have another exciting conversation in store for our viewers today, and we have the one and only Dottie Gallagher, who is the president and CEO of the Buffalo Niagara Partnership. Dottie, welcome to Western New York at Work.
Hi, Dale. It's nice to see you again.
Good to see you as well. So, Dottie, it's been a while, and we've been. I mean, all of us have been really living through some crazy times. So kind of bring us up to speed of what's happening on your end with the partnership.
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic for us was, a game-changing event like it was for so many other people. I told my team, when it all hit, if we weren't relevant for the business community over the next 90 days, we wouldn't be in business when the thing was over. And so we did a complete reorganization of our staff, created cross-functional teams, set up a help desk, did a series of webinars. We did a survey, and we did so much, just completely focused on helping businesses figure out how to shut down, and then how to get some reopening guidance, and of course reopen. And now, of course, we're really focused on economic recovery. That's the work that we're neck deep in now.
Okay, great. And many of our viewers are certainly familiar with the partnership, but if I can just give a little description, the partnership is our area's regional chamber of commerce, working in the area of private economic development with organizations by mobilizing the members and strategic partners around what's a common goal in terms of economic development and doing business. And is that an accurate statement, Dottie?
Yeah, we're really the voice of the private sector. So we have three big areas that we focus on: advocacy, and right now that's very important, like how the pandemic is impacting businesses in all different ways, which we can touch on. Convening, bringing the private and public sector together to talk about community issues and problems. And then business development. So a lot of people join a chamber, not just the regional chamber, but local chambers, to make business connections and make things happen. So we kind of do all three of those things. We have a very aggressive plan of work that people can look at our website, thepartnership.org, and see the full breadth of what we do, which is a lot.
Okay, great. And Chris, I think this is a great opportunity for you to share with Dottie, some of the things that are happening, from the Kaizen Institute standpoint.
Well, yeah, I think we're in the same position as a lot of organizations locally. We're in a spot where, certainly impacted by what's gone on in 2020 with the pandemic, but looking at the positives of what could take place in 2021. And so locally, our focus is on supporting those organizations which see the potential of what 2021 and beyond can bring them. And we engage with organizations that are in various stages of either the negative impact of the pandemic or even the positive. And some really have had, from a business perspective, have had a positive impact, but they still have challenges. So
absolutely.
I think that's really key, is understanding exactly where the organization is and what does a go forward plan look like. And we obviously look at those that have been certainly negatively impacted, but some have had a positive impact. And so what does that look like for them? And so that's one of the greatest opportunities, I think, is to really determine what is that pathway forward.
Yes.
I will tell you, one of the most exciting things, in particular around manufacturing and even commercial real estate as well, To see the level of ingenuity and innovation and resilience, particularly for manufacturers that were essential
Mhm.
before there was any guidance, before we knew what the heck was going on. We actually put together a group of a dozen or so mid-sized local manufacturers. We did a weekly Zoom call for 16 weeks so they could talk to one another. What are you doing with your employees? How are you doing training now? How are you keeping social distancing, and it
Mhm.
was wonderful for me to be a fly on the wall to hear about the innovation that was happening. I was just so impressed with the manufacturing community and those members that just were really doing some incredibly cool things that
Yeah,
I think, to your point, will outlast the pandemic and become true business opportunities afterwards.
absolutely. I believed and still believe that through this, there will be the next great ideas that will come out of this, whether they be for the local organization or even on a larger scale for the country as a whole. But
Absolutely.
there's no question that the ingenuity existed. I mean, you look at the supply chain challenges when borders are closed, even just temporarily. How do you deal with the supply chain? And then there's the workforce challenges that those
Right.
that did see growth. How do you bring on? How do you on board? How do you attract during a pandemic? And so I totally agree, Dottie. These are foundational elements to a business that will take them forward into the future for sure.
For sure.
Dottie, let's expand a little bit further on the manufacturing council that exists within the partnership.
We really focus on those mid-sized to larger manufacturing, not, the smaller mom and pop shops. But it doesn't matter because the work that we do in advocacy, for example, impacts all of them. So, Chris, you mentioned supply chain issues.
Hmm.
That has really been what we've heard some people talk about as a constraint of growth, where they'll have the orders are in, but they can't get the raw materials. That's gotten better, really, but it certainly was a big challenge. And I would tell you, workforce, manufacturing is on the bleeding edge of the workforce challenge in this community. And I will say, we've tried very hard to work with the manufacturing community to sort of alleviate that, but it's super challenging. And the pandemic has made it worse for manufacturing in that, and this is something I would not have predicted, by the way, but accelerated retirements. So one of the challenges that we've been hearing about for some years is the gray tsunami. All the people who are going to retire, people who have worked in shops for, whatever, 30, 40 years. They've got all this institutional knowledge. And how do you do that knowledge transfer into your staff and get enough people sort of brought up here? And if you put it in the context of where Buffalo has been, manufacturing for some time was contracting in our region, right? So people had their jobs, they hung on to their jobs. Well, now here we go. We've got a big group of people retiring, and how do we backfill that? And that's really how the Northland Training Center came about, was part of the Buffalo Billion Plan, recognizing the challenge of the retirements in manufacturing.
It is.
It's something that every company needs to pay attention to, regardless of industry.
Oh, listen, they're more than paying attention. I mean, it's funny because the manufacturers are the ones who sort of alerted the rest of the business community that this thing was coming. And but it is really becoming an acute pain point for all employers at all levels. Now, some pressure was taken off with the pandemic, in that companies did have to furlough people and eliminate positions in order to sort of cope. So we went from full employment to a fairly robust unemployment situation. But that doesn't really mean much if the skills of the people who are unemployed don't meet don't match the jobs that are available. So that's to be determined in the next few months, I would say.
The economy is so intertwined, isn't it? It isn't just a manufacturing sector challenge. And when the economy begins to recover in 2021, all of these industries are connected. You can't have
Right.
one without a successful second, third, fourth, fifth industry. So whether we see a rebound in restaurant, whether we see in entertainment and a rebound to retail, all of it's connected. I mean, without money changing hands, there is no economy. And so it is so important. And I believe that it's a good opportunity. It's a good problem to have. If
Yeah.
we're challenged with finding the right people for job openings, that's a better condition than we've seen previously, where there just haven't been jobs. And so, as challenging as that is, I'm actually excited to hear that, because I think that there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity for every business to improve what they do and how they do what they do. And so that as they find these individuals that are ready for employment, is they come into a job that's a little easier to onboard to. And that's the challenge that the organization has, is how do we create that condition where people who may not have all the skill sets we're looking for have enough of the baseline skills that we as an organization can train them up to the level they need to be trained to.
Yeah,
So
I mean, Chris,
that's a challenge.
that's exactly where the partnership is spending a lot of time, is working with groups of employers, and employers of all sorts and shapes and sizes. Put job descriptions out that are looking for. I always say they're looking for Jesus Christ to come in and take that job, but they'd hire Lazarus if he showed up. So so advertise for Lazarus, because there's a lot more of them out there.
Yeah,
and so really sort of untraining the what is required versus what is preferred, to really make sure that you're getting exactly what you're saying, candidates that can be trained into jobs, because and particularly in manufacturing, these people have to get trained on the very precise processes and equipment that is in that shop. Yes, there's some basic shared skills, but everybody needs a little extra training. So
absolutely, and that's on us as leaders in business.
Absolutely.
That's on us to make the job so that I always joke that if you can make the job easy enough that I can walk in and perform the duties, then you're there.
Yeah,
so
right.
so that has to be the goal. That has to be the foundation of what we do.
Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a very short break, and we'll have more great conversations with Dottie Gallagher on the other side. Western New York at Work is brought to you by our key business partners and many business professionals. Bocce's Club Pizza, Staff Buffalo, CAI, Hope Buffalo, Embassy Suites, 716 Limousine.
Three months ago, there weren't enough masks. We were desperately sourcing from all over the world. People were making face coverings from scarves, bandanas, and bits of fabric. Now there are plenty of masks, but some people don't want to wear them. Come on. Mask up, America.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job.
I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing.
After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working.
I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
Welcome back to Western New York at Work with Dale Martin and Chris Stoddard. And today's guest is Dottie Gallagher, the president and CEO of the Buffalo Niagara Partnership.
Dottie, into 2021, given that the economy is so intertwined, what do you see? We're hearing good news that the vaccine is here now and we're beginning the vaccination process, although we're going to see that into some time, maybe third quarter of next year. But what do you see 2021 looking like for Buffalo Niagara, for Western New York?
Yeah, so I will tell you, it's super interesting that the Western New York Business Impact Survey that we did in April, we deployed it right after the first stimulus package was announced, because we wanted to find out where the gaps were for businesses, right? Mm-hmm. And at that time, of course, it was very dire. 90-some% of folks were predicting revenue declines and layoffs and all of that. Since that time, and what that survey, the takeaway from that survey was screaming loud and clear: the smaller the business, the greater the risk. Main Street retail and restaurants are going to be in dire straits. That's literally what it said. And then over these past couple months, I've called on about 115 board member companies and other engaged members to say, tell me where your business is. And I will say, there have been some businesses that have been really disrupted badly. Think about higher ed as an example, and hospitals, which are really going to struggle in their own, just the economics of running hospitals in the time of COVID. But really, a lot of businesses have found opportunity and are stabilized, and which is great to see. But there's no question that we've got to really pay attention to what's next. And to your point about what do we got to do in 2021. the partnership's put together a 5-pillar plan that really is around engaging the public to support the economy. That's like COVID safe behaviors. And even with the vaccine, we're still going to be, wearing masks and doing those sorts of things for quite some time. Buying local, which is super important. We know advocacy for the business community is going to be very important because government's in trouble. They're all upside down financially, and that can't be carried on the back of the employer community that's trying to sort of make it. We know we've got to help small businesses in whatever way we can. We've got to deal with equity in rebuilding our economy. In our business impact survey, we asked companies, tell us what are your 7 biggest concerns about the community post-COVID, and we had them ranked from 7. The number 1 rank was the state of the U.S. economy, which is no surprise, Chris, as you just mentioned, because everything is so intertwined. But number 7 was that COVID would disproportionately impact people of color and low-wage workers, which in a community like Buffalo with such a high poverty rate is going to exacerbate what is already a challenging economic environment for people in that category. So we have to rebuild with equity in the equation. We can't say, okay, let's fix the economy and then we'll take care of these other issues, right? Because that's really a foundational part of the solution. And then the last pillar is all around workforce. What are the jobs that are going to be here post pandemic? What do they look like? We anticipate a lot of entry-level jobs will be cycled out with technology. We know that there will be jobs for technologists. We know, as I said, accelerated retirements in fields like education, healthcare, manufacturing. So we got to wrap our arms around that and then figure out how do we begin to reskill and upskill from the people that we have in the community and attract new people into the community that have those skills as well. So I mean, it's really, as you said, and I agree with you 100%. This is a holistic approach, and it is incredibly interconnected, and we can't have a scarcity mindset. We have to really plan for, to take advantage of what we have and to, get back on the road to our, continued renaissance in the future. So, but it's going to be challenging, because of the true absolute public cost of COVID is going to throw a monkey wrench into some of that. So let's hope the federal government gets its act together and can help us all out.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Well, to our viewers out there, you're watching Western New York at Work with Dale Martin and Chris Stoddard, thriving in Western New York. And today's guest is Dottie Gallagher with the Buffalo Niagara Partnership. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a very short break, and we'll be right back. Western New York at Work is brought to you by our key business partners and many business professionals. Bocce's Club Pizza, Staff Buffalo, CAI, Hope Buffalo, Embassy Suites, 716 Limousine.
Get it.
Get it.
Get it.
Get it.
Get it. Get it.
Is she gonna get it, Daddy?
She'll get it. Get it. Get it.
When you bring home a Goodwill find, you give your whole town a reason to celebrate because you're also funding local job training and placement programs in tech, healthcare, and more. Goodwill. Bring good home.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars. I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands?
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
Welcome back to Western New York at Work with Dale Martin and Chris Stoddard. Thriving in Western New York and with an emphasis on manufacturing And a part of that conversation is Dottie Gallagher, the president and CEO of the Buffalo Niagara Partnership. So Dottie, during the break, we were having a couple of conversations about, what's going to happen next and some of the things that we haven't touched upon as it relates to the internal things that, with the partnership. So let's pick up that conversation if you don't mind.
Sure. I mean, I think one of the things that we've done since the pandemic has started was sort of put the membership gates down. So if a company needed help, they didn't have to be a member of ours to get that assistance. And so any company in Western New York can go on our website. There's a question form you can fill out if you've got any kind of question, and we will call you back. We'll get the answer to whatever it is you need. And we also, as I said, did about 40 different webinars on various topics that we can share with people around everything from PPP loans to, workplace safety. So we're going to stay at this. We're not done yet. We're really committed to helping the business community get through this on the out to the other side. And I do think, just to be a bit optimistic here, and I think we should be optimistic, now that there is a vaccine and now that it is being distributed to our most vulnerable populations and healthcare workers and eventually to people like us, we know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So we can't get sort of caught in this sort of, I would say, narrow mindset about where we're going. Chris was asking me about talking really about what the advantages are of our region. And I will say, when you talk about something as life-changing as a pandemic is, there always are opportunities that come out of that. And I'll tell you a couple off the top of my head that are already being seen. There's a story in a publication called Redfin that mentioned that there were the 3 top cities in the United States that people were buying real estate from another place were Buffalo, and Santa Barbara was one of the other of the 3.
Oh, really?
And so is that a blip? Maybe. But is that a trend? Maybe, because one of the things that we see that I do believe will survive post-pandemic is the ability for people to work remotely. And I think it'll be a long time before everybody's 9 to 5 back in the office. I think there'll be some degree of flexibility that this technology will allow us to have. That's an opportunity. If you think about all of the expats that have left our region who said they left because they couldn't get the right kind of opportunity here. Well, think about that. If they're able to work anywhere and they want to come back to Buffalo, that's a new opportunity for us. And I really think it's a right now opportunity. And I want to commend our sister organization, Invest Buffalo Niagara. They have done a whole Be in Buffalo campaign to really brand to expats about taking advantage of opportunities that are here. But I think we should think about that as, wow, this is, to all those moms and dads out there whose kids can work from anywhere now, have them come home, they can buy a house at a reasonable price. We've got wonderful natural resources. And of course, our Buffalo Bills, which have a great season. We should feel really good about where we are and where we're going. And we need to just sort of double down on what makes Buffalo great. And we are better and more resilient people because we survive these winters every year to be able to get through this pandemic. And I think ultimately resume, all the great things that were happening and will continue to happen in the future.
We're here for a reason. We're here because, we certainly believe in Western New York. Our offices could be in New York City, but they're not. We choose to be here. It's an area that I think, as Dottie, you just mentioned, there's so much that the region has to offer. When I tour the city, and I do often, I'm a history buff and an architecture buff, and I've been reading a lot about the history of Buffalo, trying to understand what happened, what went on after the early 1900s to this point in time where we are today. There's such a rich history in this city and the region, and it has so much to offer. And I'm slightly biased. It's close to the Canadian border, so it's a wonderful location, and there's just so much to offer. From its geographic proximity to so many things that are wonderful. Be it the geography, be it the transportation hubs, be it the international border and the ability to do transborder commerce. So there's just so much here, and I'm really excited about the opportunity now. And I feel that actually when I talk to people in the community, I feel that energy, that resurgence, that renaissance that Buffalo has been experiencing, and there's no reason for it to stop. Certainly the pandemic has been a challenge, but there's every reason to believe that this could be a very thriving decade ahead of us. And I'm really excited to be part of that and get to know, individuals within the community and be part of that growth. There's certainly a great opportunity here.
Well, Chris, I mean, we should not short shrift what you just said about proximity to the Canadian border. And, what we as Americans may not really realize is that the exponential growth of the Canadian economy has really happened in our backyard and actually is growing south. So, we are connected. That QEW is an artery to a major economic powerhouse. Prior to the pandemic, we had, 22 to 26 flights a day to New York City. We're a few hours drive to Washington. So the geographic proximity and being on the Great Lakes is really something that people can't replicate. And I do think that those things become even more important in the future, even more so than they were in the past.
Yeah, agreed.
And Dottie, let's make sure we provide your contact information.
Every bit of information is on our website at thepartnership.org, including my email address and telephone number. And that if you send me an email there, it comes directly to me. And, we welcome any level of engagement. If anyone has a question or needs assistance from a business perspective, please reach out. That's why we're here.
Okay. And I would like to underscore the fact that even though we're dealing with some trying times, for anyone that has the ability to volunteer, now is a good time to, contribute your skill sets with the hopes that, maybe at some point in time in the future, that outlook could be a lot brighter.
That's absolutely true. I mean, I think we are so lucky at the partnership. So many of our members are really, really talented people. And for example, all of those webinars we did on all these technical things or legal things or financial things, those experts volunteered their time to deliver those that information, and have promised to continue to do so. Dale, I appreciate you bringing that up because we do have a wonderfully giving community here they're willing to share, and certainly we appreciate that help.
Okay, great. Well, between Chris and I and the team here at West New York at Work and thriving in West New York at Work, we can't thank you enough for being a part of today's show. We wish you continued success going forward. For all of us, we're looking to make 21 better than ever. Those are my parting thoughts. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, I'm actually very much looking forward to 2021. I think that there's great opportunity. The light at the end of the tunnel, we're finally starting to see, and I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to see what Buffalo can do and how we kind of bounce back from this. And I'm excited to get back out in the community and get to see the wonderful faces that I've gotten to know. So thank you, Dottie. Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate you spending time with us.
Thank you, guys. It was nice to meet you, Chris. And as always, Dale, great to see you.
You as well. Take care.
Take care.